You are now listening to the Hot Take Hot Box.
Biggie.
You are now listening to the Hot Take Hot Box.
Biggie.
You are now listening to the Hot Take Hot Box.
Biggie.
You are now listening to the Hot Take Hot Box.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's right. Your eyes and your ears do not deceive you. This is the Hot Take Hot Box, and we are here to talk about everything under the sun involving the Philadelphia sports scene. And I am joined by Ty Capone. Ty, although you were in St. Pete's, your love for the Sixers and not the Phillies and not the Flyers, but the Eagles still persists. So, Ty, how you feeling today? I heard. I mean, we talked about you were at the pool today, feeling good. You know, enjoying the St. Pete's weather.
The weather. Come on now.
Hey, the weather. I was just watching The Ultimate Fighter, man, so I was hearing a lot of
Wired
boom,
up.
boom, look to me, do. So a lot of stuff like that.
It was a good episode. Saw somebody try to kill his opponent.
Yeah,
Herb Dean was like, you know what? Go ahead, throw it. I don't care. Herb Dean didn't give a fuck, so that's always fun. Pretty dull Wednesday. The sun has gone out. Has gone into hiding now. So thank God. But yeah, here we are. We're going to talk some Philly sports. Football season camp starting soon. Other than that, there's not really. It's quiet. But once we get rolling into the end of July into August, fantasy football mock season is going to be approaching.
Oh yeah, I'm already hearing people doing them.
Hopefully, we do not have any random injuries on the first day of camp or anything like that. But I'm sure something's going to happen. But until football season, we have a bunch of other. It's really not. There's not much actively going on. What is it? Just baseball, right?
Just basically baseball, but there's always the rumor mill is always popping off this time of year. The people need stuff to talk about.
Just another day in the association. So in the last 24 hours, Draymond Green has not only what do you say about Chris Paul? Pretty much called him a bum.
Yeah, hates him basically. That he's like, I'm not going to just say he's cool because he's my teammate. It's like, oh, great, man.
Fell for a fake Twitter account, NBA Sentinel, and told Jordan Poole's dad that it's on site. So it's just another day in the association, and
that guy sucks, man. I mean, he really
team Anthony Poole for sure.
But he's such a good player. Like for what he does, like he plays his role great on the floor. But
seems like he's friends with a lot of guys.
Yeah,
right?
And people like him. Yeah, like LeBron, like all these different people around the league, they like him and they respect him. You obviously have to respect what he brings to the table on the floor, but he just sucks, man. I hate when he starts just doing all this on Twitter. He's like about to fight KG over some fake thing that wasn't even real. And KG's like, bro, what? Like KG probably popped on Twitter like, what, dude? Like,
what'd you say fuck me for?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. But listen, I am not.
We got TBT starting up. Or
yeah, who cares? Yeah, when I was younger, I used to like that shit. But who cares? I am such I'm turning into such an old man now that I just all that shit means nothing to me. Like Summer League, I guess because we sucked, I probably would if we were bad again and some of our meaningful players were playing in it. I probably would have a different thought. But
Jaden Springer, 22 points a game, man. Don't sleep. Still can't shoot though.
He still can't shoot. He's really not great offensive player at all, and
he's just older than everybody.
Yeah, and exactly. He's been in the league, so he knows kind of what it's like. Some of these kids don't even know what the fuck they're doing. They're just jacking shots. So Summer League is such horrible, horrible basketball. But let's get into what we're really here to talk about: the Philadelphia 76ers, not the Summer League Sixers, the Philadelphia 76ers. A lot has gone down since the last time we talked. The Sixers on their roster now have about 7 centers. I'm kind of kidding, but I'm not. I'm kidding with the number, but they have a dumb amount of big men now on their roster. Daryl Morey is going on radio stations telling you not to really nitpick and get too worried about the roster in July.
Last thing I want to hear.
Although I understand what you're saying, that's not good. That doesn't make me feel better. James Harden opted into his contract and then asked for a trade immediately, which is not surprising. I guess I'm kind of brushing over everything. I guess we should just start right away with James Harden. The conversation going into his free agency, his impending free agency, is that he was going to walk and we were going to get nothing. He was going to go to Houston, and that Houston had mutual interest and yada, yada, yada. But that turned out to be a complete bluff and a fraudulent sort of scenario, because Houston was never really interested in him. And why would they be interested in an over-the-hill point guard who still thinks he's that guy, who is not a good, really, I mean, I know people say, oh, he's a good teammate. Like, being a good teammate is one thing, and being, like, a cool guy to hang around with is another thing. Like, I think that's what James Harden is. He's probably, like, cool to hang out with, and you don't, like, he's a good guy in the locker room because he doesn't really, like, cause any problems or anything like that for the most part, but also, you're not really a good teammate if you're going to strip clubs till 4 a.m. The day before a game, or, you know, and I don't know, you know, you could, oh, that's not confirmed, or that you don't know that happened this year, but we know this guy's past. We know who James Harden is. You're not going to tell me that something like that hasn't happened before, or happened this season. I mean, Doc Rivers was literally getting into it with him during team meetings this year, like calling him out, basically, like, yo, James, we're going to need you to kind of like hone it in here, like tighten it up a little bit. And
Sam Cassell too.
Yeah, and just, you know, James Harden is the kind of guy, he does not want to be involved or hear from people who may push back on him a little bit or tell him that he's not the greatest. And listen, that guy thought he was going to get paid this season. He thought he was going to, you know, he took the pay cut and that he was going to be rewarded with a big fat contract no matter what happened. Thought he was going to get a 4-year max deal. And that just never was a realistic proposition, I thought. I don't know if they told him that last year and that's why he's so hurt, or I really don't understand his thought process on this, but I can't – I am very happy that Daryl Morey – I mean, really there was a thought that – and a realistic thought, I think, from everyone, that maybe like he was just going to hook his boy up. Like that they are just such, you know, like pals. They've gone through – they were together for so many years down in Houston. Now they reunited here in Philadelphia, that – they were just going to get, you know, he was just going to hook them up, and that's just how, this is what it was going to be. We were going to have 4 years of James Harden. We were going to be paying him $50, $60 million into his age 37, 38 season. It just didn't happen, and now he's kind of taking his ball and trying to go home, but I don't really think that's a smart idea on his part. I'll get into that in a little bit, but I kind of want to let you chime in. I could just keep going on for like 5 minutes at a time, but I mean, what I have a feeling you have a lot of the same thoughts on this.
Yeah, I'm not. It seems like he's trying to do what Damian Lillard is and force his way to the team he wants. Dame wants to go to Miami. He wants to go to.
And we'll talk
LA
about that too. That's kind of disgusting, but.
So I just pulled up a Bleacher Report, man. It seems like maybe I was just young, but at the time they were like the sports journalism and media. They've just fallen off pretty hard, I should say. So there's a 4-team blockbuster trade offer or deal or idea Bleacher Report has proposed, with the Heat getting Lillard and Marcus Morris, the Clippers getting Harden and PJ Tucker, the Sixers getting Tyler Hero, Caleb Martin, Robert Covington, and 2 seconds from the Heat, and the Blazers get a bunch of picks and a bunch of players. What do you think?
Why would the Blazers do that?
The Blazers would get a 2027, 2029. I can't believe these are the years that we're trading picks. Unprotected first from Miami, 28 and 30 unprotected first from the Clippers, Kyle Lowry, Nick Batum, Nikola Jovic, Kobe Brown, Amir Coffey, and Jason Preston. It's a lot to get back, right?
It's a lot of slop. It's a lot of slop, but if I'm them, I need something of tangible value. And I also, as Sixers, I don't know why the hell you would do that.
Yeah,
and,
I mean,
Tyler Hero doesn't really move the needle all that much. I mean, I guess he could play next to Maxey, but it seems like a lot of guys who really we wouldn't have a point guard. Yeah, we wouldn't have a guy to distribute. But
I do like Caleb Martin, but also Robert
sure.
Covington coming back would just haunt the 21-year-old version of myself. But yeah, it seems like that's what he's trying to do, and I know a lot of people are going to say, "Oh, the GM do what's best for the team." Yeah, maybe, right? I mean, if nobody else is out there biting, or the offers that you're getting back aren't good, like you kind of have to, make a decision. And it's tough, man. It's really tough. I never know what the right choice is, or what the right move is, or who to side with. If Harden wants to go, then I would trade him. But the problem is, are we going to get Terrence Mann back? Probably not. So it's like, what are we really doing? We're getting Norman Powell and some picks. Like, what does that do for this team? Not much. But I don't know what he does. I don't know what Harden does for this team. We kind of saw what Harden does for this team last year. He had 45 in that first game one, and then didn't do shit the rest of the series. So
he had 42 in game four.
That's what I
was there.
The first game without Embiid.
He went crazy in game one. Don't forget. I mean, for what it's worth, he did have 2 good games out of a 7-game series.
Yeah.
So, I can't take that away from him, but
but I will say, having 3 guys on the team making $30 million or more, I believe it's only 3, right? Yeah. Embiid, Harden, and Harris. Tobias Harris making 37. This team's at a crossroads because if you look at the talent you have and the age of the roster, we're going to start falling off, is what it seems like. We don't have that many picks at our disposal. We didn't have any picks in this year's draft, which is, Sam Hinkie's probably rolling in his grave seeing the Sixers have 0 picks in a draft. Joel Embiid's 29. When does he start to fall off? Because last year we saw the best version of him, correct? And this year I would expect to see a similar version of him as long as he's healthy. But what happens going forward? He's a big guy. He's not young, and you got to figure his regression is gonna it's gonna come hard, man. And then James Harden's already taking a step back. We signed Patrick Beverley, 35 years old. PJ Tucker's 38. Tobias is 31. Like you said, we have a bunch of centers: Mo Bamba, Montrezl Harrell, Joel Embiid, Dwayne Dedmon. I think he's a free agent we brought Paul Reed back. We just don't have much young talent. Maxi's 22. That's all good and well, but DeAnthony Melton's 25. He's probably topped out. Any of those young kids that are 21 and 20 that we got undrafted, I don't think they're really going to play. Terquavion Smith, Ricky Council, Philip Petrusev, even Jaden Springer. I don't think Jaden Springer is going to make an impact on that NBA team yet. It's funny he's only 20, but still, man. Tyrese Maxey made leaps when he was 20, 21. So I don't know what really this team does. A couple of my friends, we had discussions about the Sixers weekly. Talking about we're going to be terrible. I think we're going to be like a 45, 55 win team, somewhere in that range. It really all depends on what happens with Harden and what happens with Embiid's But now we have Embiid talking about, I just want to win a championship, whether that be in Philly or somewhere else. And now everyone's like, Jesus Christ, man, you want out too? And, I can't really say I'm surprised. He's been here for so long. He's endured a lot. The first couple of years, he didn't even play. Where was he at? He was in the Middle East, recovering, trying to do some new procedure with his foot. He's really gone through hell and back. And, he has the city in the palm of his hands. He always has. But now it's just like everybody, the fans, the players, the coaching staff, the front office, everybody's kind of just up in the air. Nobody really knows what's next. And, that's kind of where I am. I don't know what's next. I would like for them to run it back with James Harden, but also I would like them to move him and maybe get something good back. I just don't think the Clippers are going to give away their probably best young player in Terrence Mann or, first-round picks that I don't even know if they have. So, I don't know what's next. I think it's going to be a long waiting game, right? I think we're probably going to wait until September. I think it seems like he's going to be back, but I have no idea. I truly have no idea. So I don't even know what I want. I'm at that stage of fandom where I don't even know what I want the team to do, and I usually do. I know what the Eagles. Listen, I want you guys to draft Georgia players. Boom, do it. What you want from the Flyers, rebuild. That's what they're doing. What you got from the Phillies. Boom. I don't know what the Sixers' plan is. I don't know what their idea is. They probably want to just capitalize on Embiid's prime, right? They don't want to waste another year of Embiid's prime. I think you trade James Harden and you don't get much back, that probably is wasting another year of Joel Embiid's prime. So ideally, you keep Harden one more year, see what you can do, and then after this year, I think things might get a little easier. But what do we do with cap space? It's really hard to. It seems like in the NBA, it's a lot different than the NFL, where how do I say this? The NBA kind of moves quickly. Paul George gets traded, you're like, whoa, that came out of nowhere. Kawhi gets traded, you're like, whoa, that came out of nowhere. things happen very quickly in the NBA compared to other sports. It seems like, except for maybe baseball in the off season, but bigger rosters, much more going on. So I don't know. Do we trade Embiid? Do we trade Embiid and Harden? Do we trade Embiid, Harden, Maxey, and Tobias? I mean, I don't know. I just really hope we just make good moves and stop getting completely fleeced. But
I think there's a few things here. One, back to the James Harden thing. I think James Harden has no choice but to play well this season. If the goal is to get paid, I do not think him coming into camp, causing a problem, wearing the fat suit like everyone likes to just like joke about, and like that's what he's going to do. He's going to be a problem. Then he's not going to get paid next year. And he's kind of running out of time. So I am not in theory, like I am not in, I don't hold the belief, or I am not hoping that they bring him back and like try to run it back. I never wanted that to happen. I love the fact that we didn't sign him to a long-term deal and that it's only a 1-year deal. I am in agreement with Daryl Morey that I'm not just going to trade him just to get rid of him, but I do want to be realistic somewhat about getting something for him. I understand like he's like an all-star level player, or some like stuff that I could flip for an all-star level player, which that I can see or agree with. The Clippers, it seems like that's the only place he wants to go, and he's really pushing that narrative, or his people, his lackeys in the media are pushing that narrative. I don't really see how that kind of comes to fruition unless they give something up. I'm not taking like a Morris twin and Covington. I'd rather let him rot on the bench and then go into free agency, and he still won't go to the Clippers. Like, he needs us to go to the Clippers. He needs somebody to sign him to a sign and trade and then send him to the Clippers. The Clippers have no cap room. They just gave these massive deals. They gave massive deals out, and they're about to give more massive deals out to Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. So he wants to play with Russell Westbrook and whatever. Let that be the Clippers' problem. That is fine by me. I have no problem trading James Harden, but I need something back. I need a Terrence Mann. I need Norman Powell. I need something that I can at least take to somebody else and say, like a Terrence Mann, and be like, hey, do you he's a good player? Would you want him in a trade plus Tobias Harris and get like a Levine, or you know what I mean? Like, I don't know who it would be, but something of value that you can look at and say, all right, I want that back. That's fine. We'll do that deal. With their strategy, though, it seems like their strategy right now is to just kind of punt on this season and like try to get cap room for next year, which I don't really get, because if you look at the free agents next year, it's not something where we are clearing the deck to try to get LeBron or Giannis or Steph Curry or any of the like top flight players in the league. We're talking about like Jaylen Brown and Pascal Siakam and like good players, but not something where I'm willing to punt a season on and then like, oh, we're definitely going to win the title next year. Yeah, like I'm not giving $200 million to Pascal Siakam. Good player. No. Make no mistake about it. Not going to sell my franchise for him. It's not going to happen. So it seems like they don't want to trade Tobias. That has died down big time. And I don't think that means necessarily that they won't get moved, but they just, it seems like there's not really a priority right now in this front office. Like, he's too busy looking at NFTs and hanging out at the beach and making funny Twitter jokes, and he's like not really concerned with trying to build this team or make this team better. We don't have an athletic wing on the entire team. He let Jalen McDaniels walk, which is fine. I'm not really. I see people like having mental breakdowns about that on Twitter. That guy couldn't even get on the floor in the playoffs. So I'm not really. That's not something I'm going to sit here and be like, oh my god. And thank God they traded Matisse Thybulle, although they got rid of him and got nothing for him. But I mean, that guy just got $33 million for 3 years, and he stinks.
Also, he started playing. He started playing way better when we got rid
of course.
Go figure. But
well, I mean, I never really put stock in when players go to bad teams and play well. You know how that is. We have plenty of those guys who were on our team, bad teams, pretty okay, mediocre players, but they look like the second coming of Michael Jordan. I am old enough to remember Roden. KJ McDaniels. I mean,
KJ McDaniels,
MCW,
next up or whatever you said. Remember Tony Roden averaged like 17 a game, and then next year he was out of the league.
Yeah. Like that, because that's real shit. I mean, these guys are basically playing in a men's league, but they were just at the highest level, and they
Eddie Hoban, baby.
Yeah, basically, shout out Eddie Hoban. But No, listen, and then Embiid wants to go on Maverick Carter or whatever the fuck he was, whatever that was on the stage, and say what he said, and then kind of, if I'm gonna be frankly honest about it, be a coward about it afterwards on Twitter, and act like that's not he didn't mean exactly what he said. He knows what he said. He knew what that would do to the people. He wasn't trolling. He was being dead ass serious. And now he's trying to kind of trying to backtrack and act like, oh no, that's not what I mean. I'm Troel, I'm just trying to be funny and and for him to do that shit, James Harden. Okay, that's one thing. I expect James Harden to fold in the biggest moments. He's done it his whole career. Joel should be getting that kind of same verbal treatment from the media and everyone because he folded in Game 7, and I get. Everyone likes to use the excuse that he's hurt. He was hurt this year, but he is hurt every single season come the playoffs, no matter what. If last year, they babied him all the way to the playoffs, and then he gets his face ran into, and that's such a freak accident. A couple of them have been freak accidents. Seems like they all are freak accidents, but no matter how it happens, you're still always hurt, no matter what. So, but
he's so reckless that the freak accidents aren't really freak accidents because of how he plays and how he maneuvers his body. He's always crashing hard. There's no reason you should be Scott Hartnell of the NBA. There's just no reason for that. I mean, look at some of the other guys that are big and that are big and athletic. You know what I mean? Mo Bamba, this is not a great example. He's a big athletic guy. Is he always on the floor? No. Is Jokic, who's not as athletic, but is he always on the floor? No. Just shit like that just shouldn't happen, especially in the first quarter of Game 33, and Embiid hit the floor hard, and now he's you hear it throughout the arena. He fucking thuds against the ground, and you're like, dude, this is the 10th game of the year in the first quarter. What's going on? This shouldn't be happening.
Bro, we're playing the Hornets on a Tuesday night. We don't need that. But it's even more just the way, you see the way Jokic plays. He's skilled. He doesn't really leave the floor. His feet never really leave the floor. He just dominates the floor or dominates the whole game.
Fundamental.
Yeah, by just using fundamentals, just knowing how to play, knowing where to be, knowing where the ball has to be. And I get Jokic has probably been playing much longer than Embiid, and we know we've talked about Embiid slow starter in the sense that he didn't really start playing until he was 16 years old or 15, however old he was. He just needs to hone it in a little bit, and it's not even really that. It's just the mentality and the body language that those two had, especially towards Game 6 it started. At the end of that Game 6, they just both looked like they wanted nothing to do with what was going on there. Game 4,
at home, right?
PJ Tucker at home is screaming at Joel Embiid, basically we need you to snap out of it. You're kind of playing soft as shit right now. You're getting bodied by Al Horford, who's almost 50 years old. And
at one point, he was bodying him. Everybody was. Remember that at that one point, I forget what game it was. At one point, Tyrese Maxey was picking on Al Horford. Everybody was picking on him.
Yes. They picked on him in Game 1.
Insane. I don't understand. It's just it has to be something upstairs. It has to be something mental. 100%. You know what I mean? I remember his struggles against the Hawks that series, the Game 7. That was so just. Him and Trae Young were battling for who could be the worst player and who could, choke and look like the biggest idiot on the biggest stage. And I don't know, man. I love Joel. I always love Joel. And obviously, the city loves him. And I guarantee if he brought a championship to the city, most of the fans would want a statue for him. But it's starting to. It looks like the pressure's starting to get to him. Honestly, if I could be completely honest, So we'll see. I mean. I don't know. The problem is people are going to want to trade him, and who's going to give up a big? Listen, whatever his value is, his fair value, whatever it is, we're not going to get that back for a 30-plus-year-old injury-prone center. You know what I mean? So that's probably not the move. But if we do want to rebuild, which again, I don't know. I just don't know. It all goes back to my mass confusion for this entire organization and the fans. Nobody knows what to do.
There's no vision. There's no path forward. There's no way that, like you said, could get proper value. Back for him. There's no way that you could really there's just no remedy right away that any of us can see. the few things that I point to, okay, Nick Nurse, he's obviously got to be a better head coach than Doc Rivers. I don't know if he's really going to make the worlds of difference in the sense that they're just all of a sudden going to be an NBA Finals contender just because they changed the coach. But, I mean, you would agree that's a positive, right? So maybe Tyrese Maxey takes that next step. He becomes that point guard that we, always wanted him to be and becomes that superstar that all these people talk about and how he's going to be so great. Other than that, I really don't see how the team gets much better, without a big move, without a James Harden move that kind of shakes this whole thing up and they're able to get a Zach LaVine or somebody like that, which I am not, honestly, the biggest LaVine fan in the world. That's just a name or somebody that seems like it could kind of fit in here and help a little bit in the athletic wing department who can shoot threes and does a lot of shit. And the ball and it wouldn't be all on his shoulders like it kind of is in Chicago. He has some help, but not real help like Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey. So yeah, the tough part is they really just don't have a vision, and we have no faith in the GM. We have no faith in ownership. Ownership just kind of sucks. They distance themselves from the city. They want to build a stadium in the middle of Chinatown, and it just seems like there's always something other than the focus of let's win a championship going on. There's just so many reasons to not like this team as opposed to actually like this team. Like, maybe a guy like, and I guess that's why I get why people don't want to trade Maxey, because a guy like Maxey is a reason that you would want to go down and watch them and support this team because he's just a young kid. He plays hard. He scores. He's exciting. I get that, but we also have the MVP, and all of us have kind of grown a little bit of apathy towards him. It's not all the way there yet, I would say. He just won the MVP, and I'm not ready to close the door on him completely, but there is such a sour taste in our mouth from what just transpired in the playoffs again. That's the thing, again. That Hawks series was not that long ago, and last year against Miami, they did the exact same thing. They laid down like dogs. It didn't get to Game 7, but you remember, Joel misses the first 2 games. They come back. They win 2 games in a row. So it's 2-2 going back to Miami, and they get their doors fucking blown off in that Game 5 because they basically just looked like they didn't want to be there. And then Game 6, I'm there, and I'm watching them not want to be there. Like, they looked actively like they didn't want to be there. And it's like, well, why should I pay my money to come down here and support this team if the players who are making millions of dollars just seem like they don't really care about the results and don't want to be there? And I get, like, people will go and say, oh, well, that's not the case. That they obviously care. They're like, this is their job, and they've been doing this for, like, I shouldn't even have to question if that's the case. Like, you don't watch the Phillies and be like, oh, these guys really don't want to be here, or any of the other teams that you can name even in basketball. Like, no one watched the Heat, even though they lost in the finals and were like, nah, they kind of, like, dogged it. They just didn't seem like they wanted to be there. Even the Celtics were about to get swept 3-0, and they came back. Like, no one's saying that about some of these other teams. We're saying it about the Sixers.
Yeah, and also with the whole Maxey point, like, he's going to get like $100+ million.
Oh, probably 200. Soon. Yeah, for sure. It'll be in the neighborhood of 200. Yeah.
And if he improves, if he makes another step, whether it be a big step, a small step, it's going to be 150. It's going to be 200. It's going to be that dollar amount is going to keep going up. And what do you do then? You give him all the money that you saved with whoever it is, Tucker and Patrick Beverly and Tobias Harris, with them leaving. Now all of that's going to go to him? Like, what? I don't know. That's really our only young, promising player. Besides, it's just him. It's really just him. So, yeah, I mean, free agency is not really the way to go. It seems like it's all about making trades, but we don't have assets to trade. Most teams just keep their stud players, their core players, with their max and super max contracts. So yeah, I don't know.
You need listen, and there's people like. This is gonna. I'm telling you, I warned you guys ahead of time. This is gonna be a long one because I have a lot of shit that I have had built up and on my chest that I need to get off of my fucking chest. You people out there need to stop clinging on to Maxey as well. Like the theory, I get now that it's not really real, but the Damian Lillard thing, like that is the guy that we need. All right, we need a guy who is kind of somewhat able to take that alpha role away from Joel Embiid and will take ownership upon, okay, I will shoot the shot at the end of the game. I will make sure that we, we take care of business at the end of the game. There'll never be a doubt that I'm playing hard or that I'm engaged or that I'm locked in. I won't just kind of chill for a deciding Game 7. I get loving Maxey, but this team needs a superstar, and the only way to acquire that guy is through a Tyrese Maxey. So I understand not wanting to trade him, but I don't understand trading him for someone like Damian Lillard is out of the question for you. Then we are truly never going to win. By the time Tyrese Maxey becomes the player you want him to be or need him to be, Joel Embiid will be broken down and he will be done. So it's really, you can't rebuild around Tyrese Maxey. I hear some of you say that. That's not real, guys. He's not that kind of player. He will put up a lot of empty stats. He is not the best player on a championship-winning team, nor will he ever be. There's not a lot of guys that are, okay? So you need to be realistic about this. You have the reigning MVP on your team. You need to surround him with not just, I see all these people like, well, look at these teams. The Nuggets had such a better roster and more depth and all that. They did. But they also had Jamal Murray, who had out-of-body experiences in games, in the finals and games against the Lakers where he made like 7 threes in a quarter. Like, you need that other guy. You need a co-star. You need the Robin to someone's Batman. That's a real thing. You do need a whole team. That goes without saying. But the Sixers had a good enough team this season where they could have competed with the Miami Heat, and they were obviously competing with the Boston Celtics. They weren't that far off. But the fact that now I don't say that to say that, oh, well, you can run it back and it'll be there. The reason they're far off is because their top 2 guys laid down, man. And their point guard had no juice at the end of it. There shouldn't even be people coming out like Spike Eskin saying that someone told him, which I don't know how Spike Eskin found this out, but that's another conversation for another day, that he was told that people knew right when they walked in the locker room that he was going to have a bad game. That being James Harden. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, how is that even a thing? It's Game 7, bro. I would be like foaming at my locker, right? Like ready to go. Like the problem would be he played too hard, or he like he was too psyched up. Like this guy seems like he's walking into a funeral every time there's a big game. And really, at this point, what is the stress? Everyone already thinks you're a choke artist. You might as well just let it all hang out. But you see the way he played in that Game 7, it was a disgrace, and it kind of plays out that way. But I don't know, Ty. I guess I could sit here all day and go around about. I guess the Damian Lillard, I just want to talk about that, how that guy has kind of ruined his credibility and all the good grace that he built up through the 10 years or so in Portland has kind of like dissipated and kind of evaporated because his agent is strong-arming the Blazers and forcing them to trade him to Miami for peanuts and scraps, which is kind of, it really is disgusting. It's one of the things that I hold against Claude Giroux, which I know that's kind of a deep cut for some people who don't really like hockey, but Claude Giroux had a no-trade clause towards the end, and he basically forced his way to Florida, and we were not able to negotiate a trade or create a bidding war with another team so that we could have, run it up a little bit. I mean, I get you wanting to go to a place, whatever place you want to go. If you want to go there, you want to go there. That's right. That's why you have a no trade clause. But you are doing your team that you've been with for 10 plus years. You're doing them dirty on the way out, and there's no way. And I get you like. I hear all these people say, well, they should do right by Dame. Like well, look at all he did for the Blazers. They should help him out. And it's, well, why don't you help me out too? Like, why don't we fucking help each other out? Give me one more team that I can negotiate with, that that you will like, that you're not just shitting on saying, well, I won't go there. I'm not going anywhere but Miami. I can't get anything then. Why would they even they're not going to trade Bam Adebayo to us, which is obviously what they want. They don't want Tyler Herro. So help us out. Help me help you. And I don't like when these athletes do that at the end of their run. And then it's just like, well, all these people are like, well, the NBA's watching. If they do him dirty, then players aren't going to want to go to Portland. Who the fuck wanted to go to Portland anyway? Like that's not a real thing. That's just a fake thing that they're trying to make these fucking people feel bad. Like, just do your thing, man. I wouldn't trade Dame unless I got whatever I wanted, and I'll make him sit out because Portland has no incentive to trade him right now whatsoever. Like if he sits out, they still tank again, and like it's the same thing. It's the same result. They're just going to wait until they get what they want, and that's exactly what they should do, and that's what the Sixers should do with James Harden.
Yeah, and Portland has some good young players, whereas we do not.
Yeah.
You know, they have Anthony Simons, who's making about $22 million a year, to give you a rough estimate of what Maxey might command.
Oh yeah.
Who else? Chris Murray's 22, Jabari Walker's 20. Shaden Sharp's 20, Scoot Henderson's 19.
Yeah,
even Justice Winslow somehow is 27, which I feel like he's been in the league 30 years. So Jeremy Grant's 29. Forgot they had him still.
They just signed into a fat deal too.
Fat. I just forgot. Just remember that. So yeah, I don't know what we do. I'm all for trading James Harden, but if we give him away for nothing, we're kind of just fucking ourselves.
Yeah. You can't just let him walk. Like, you can't just trade him for scraps. You can't trade him for Rocco and Marcus Morris in a first. Like, that truly would just. We're done. We are done then. Like, then it's like. The only thing that I kind of understand why Joel said what he said is because he probably does get the same feeling that we do, that they're trying to they might punt on this year and kind of just try to set themselves up for next year. And he's probably like, dude, I'm not fucking doing that, man. Like, we are not. I had just won the MVP. I'm not sitting around next year and playing with a bunch of bums and trying to carry another squad and using one of my good years that I have left on this travesty of a roster. So you're gonna have to give me something here. You're gonna have to help me out a little bit, and that's the only aspect I would understand it from Joel. But still, it just seems like all these guys just seem like crybabies. Like James not getting what he wants, so now he's gonna cause us a little. You're gonna be a little baby about it, and he's gonna cry and complain like someone's doing him wrong when he's getting paid $36 million to play this season. He's still a somewhat productive player, but he obviously has shown in the playoffs that he's not consistent, or in the regular season, he's just not consistent enough to give $50 million to, and he's too old. So.
Doesn't defend still.
Doesn't defend. He really, other than distributing and scoring sometimes, it's really, and he just sucks the life out of the offense. I just don't think him and Nick Nurse are going to work well either. So I guess I just wonder, to bring it back to the beginning, we've done almost 40 minutes on this. It's just I don't really know where they go other than somebody kind of a miracle getting pulled out and a rabbit out the hat, and we get somebody that was not on the radar, we did not expect, and he just kind of pops up. But
yeah,
and unless maybe Damian Lillard's tune changes and they're able to get Maxey and Tobias for and a couple of sprinklings for Damian Lillard, because again, I still believe Dan Lebitard's delusional ass saying that Herro's better than Maxey. I don't care whatever stat you pull out or whatever. I can use my eyes. I know Maxey is a better basketball player than Tyler Herro. It's really not that close. Tyler Herro's an a good to okay basketball player. He's not better than Tyrese Maxey, nor will he be. So that's that. And I think it's unfortunate that we're not going to be able. There's really not going to be anyone that kind of becomes available. Like, the only guy in the future I could see is maybe Giannis. Because it seems like Giannis is starting to. When you start to hear those little rumblings from a guy, from a team and from a guy who's really never said anything like that, you start to wonder. Because I saw a couple things in early June, and after they got knocked out was basically kind of people are starting to look and monitor the situation, which they've said about Joel, but that's starting to become more of a realistic thing now too. So I don't know. I feel like I'm rambling now, but. You have any closing remarks on our Philadelphia 76ers?
The difference there is Giannis is 1 and Embiid is 1-0. So,
true.
Have we even gotten to a conference final, let alone won a conference final? I don't believe so.
To 2001.
Right, so
2001 is the last time the Sixers have been past the second round.
Man, brutal, absolutely brutal. So I don't know. I just, again, very much in the air. Everything's in the air.
Yep. And you know what's also in the air is the health of Andrew Painter, because now it has been reported. Let's clip that over to the Phils. But the Phils are kind of have turned it around here as of late. They are what, 52 and 42, or 53 and
they're 52 and 42, I think.
Yeah, they're 10 games above 500. They are, cruising along at the major league level. But Andrew Painter, was he 20 years old now? 19 years old. He's been dealing with his sort of elbow soreness and elbow injury or whatever.
Any kind of elbow inflammation. When you hear that, just assume that you're not going to see that player for 2 years.
Yeah,
I know they try to rest. There's nothing you get. Elbow inflammation means one thing: Tommy John surgery. So
yeah,
it sucks. It's very unfortunate, but honestly, you'd rather this happen to him now than at 23, 4, 5, maybe. It's tough. It's hard to find a silver lining here, but it does happen often. It does happen very, very often, honestly, to young pitchers, especially young pitchers that throw hard. He's 6'7", 215. He's been that size since he was drafted out of high school. He has a 70 grade fastball from a 20 to 80 grade scale. 70 grade fastball, one of the best fastballs in the minor leagues. Also a nasty slider. He's nasty, man. He's really good. 4-pitch mix. 3 of them are plus. Like, that's nasty. Your guy right there.
Yeah, for sure.
That's your guy right there. Mick Abel. I like Mick Abel a little bit, but I think he's starting to look at his AAA stats or his AA stats. Yeah, they're not great. But he's still getting some swings and misses. The hitters aren't really crushing the ball off of him necessarily. So, I mean, their farm system is not good. I see people saying, like, can we trade every team pretty much? Should we trade for Ohtani? It's like, guys, you got to remember who you are and who this player is. Like, the Phillies don't have enough to pull it off. You can offer him your top 500 prospects. Like, it's not going to get it done.
I also not to say not that I don't want him, but I'm not trading for him for a half season.
There's no
I would just
reason.
rather take my swing at him in the off season and maybe try to sign him, and for nothing. You're obviously a lot of money, but I'm not giving up a bunch of prospects for a half season, because I don't know. It doesn't sound like he really wants to come out east and play. It's only really the Dodgers, and that's it. That's the only other team.
People are saying the Yankees,
but no one really thinks that, right? I mean, the Yankees think that because they've signed Tanaka and stuff like that, so they think, oh, we'll get Ohtani. We have the money. We're the Yankees. I don't know if that's really necessarily the case, but
the problem is Hal wants to stay he wants to be a penny pincher nowadays. So the days of Steinbrenner's throwing money around is pretty much over. They're not doing that ever. They haven't in a while. At least the Dodgers will still do it. The Dodgers haven't in a couple of years. They're saving up for Ohtani. So we'll see. Maybe the Mariners. I've heard a lot of people talking about the Mariners because of Ichiro and whatnot. They also don't have really much money allocated to anybody. We'll see. But back to the Phillies. I mean, they're 4-1 since the All-Star break has commenced.
Yeah.
They play the Brewers today. Probably. Who we got pitching?
I believe it's Christopher Sanchez, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know that for sure, but listen, the thing with the Phillies, the big talk was that they needed a 5th starter and that they needed good starting pitching. Nola gave you a great game last night for him. Nola, for what it's worth, has pitched late into these games and has given your bullpen a rest and days off when he's pitching. From the when you'd have to go full bullpen game and you're seeing Bilotti in the 3rd inning, or Bailey Falter starting and getting blown up in the 1st inning. At least guys like Nola, a guy like Christopher Sanchez gives you 5 solid innings usually. Wheeler has not been too great this season. But I think a lot of those guys, they're kind of shaking off that postseason hangover. They pitched later into the season, more innings than they have in probably their whole careers. So I understand that from the sense Taijuan Walker has kind of turned it around off of his early season mishaps. And, getting good innings out of Ranger Suarez. That seems like that has been the what has keyed in the turnaround. Obviously, the offense has rebounded once they put your boy, man, Kyle Schwarber into that into the number one slot, into that leadoff slot, it has kind of turned this team around, and he's hitting home runs. He's producing, so it's just another bat that is producing. Bryce Harper finally hit another home run the other day, or no, before the All-Star break. Or was it before? No, it was after. It was after the All-Star break. It was just the other day.
He's struggling a bit, man.
Oh yeah, I mean he's like still hitting 300, but it's just not the Bryce Harper that we have grown to, expect and have become accustomed to. He's not that. He hasn't been that guy this season. Castellanos has continued to just be the guy that you expected, right? I mean, he's continued to play well. What is he? Is he still hitting? He's still hitting above 300. I'm pretty sure.
290.
Okay. Well, he's falling off a little bit then.
Yeah, a little bit. On base is 332. I mean, he's kind of like a little bit like JD Martinez, where he's hot and cold. You figure you're not getting much out of him defensively. I mean, their lineup in general, as a whole for the whole year, is just not producing great numbers.
No. I mean, JT's still hitting 240, like 247. So.
Yeah, JT's on base is 306. Trey Turner's on base is 303. It's not good, man. I mean, Kyle Schwarber's still, his average is going to be low. It's pretty much, what you're getting with Kyle Schwarber. The thing you have with Kyle Schwarber, he's got 26 home runs. Nobody else has more than 13. So,
yeah.
If people are saying, hey, we don't want Kyle Schwarber, take Kyle Schwarber off this team. You might be one of the worst power hitting teams in the league.
Yeah.
Trey Turner's slugging percentage is under 400, man. That is brutal.
He's been awful, man.
So, I'm looking at their guys now, like weighted runs created plus, the average is 100. They have a lot of guys just around 109 for Stott, 118 for Marsh, 86 for Turner, 102 for Real Muto. Like, it's just, Alec Baum, I know people love him. I'm not sure, he's just average to me.
Yeah.
And then you got a couple guys like Josh Harrison, Darren Hall, Cody Clemens. Those are just, AAA players. So,
yeah. I don't like to say that, but
yeah,
they kind of
Edmundo Sosa, I know he's a fan favorite because his name's Sosa, but he walks at like he has a walk percentage of 1.5. So if you're gonna hit 240 and not walk, not really sure what you're giving to this team. So I think they need to go out and get a bat. I don't know what you say, outfield bat.
That's what a lot of people are saying. The theory is to go out and get an outfield bat so that Schwarber doesn't have to play the field and then he can just DH. And then the idea is that Harper's going to play first base this upcoming weekend against the Guardians. That's what the rumor is, but they've seems like continually push that back week after week after week to get him more work or whatever the excuse is. There's a new one all the time. So
yeah,
I listen. I don't know who. I just think I really don't think it matters what the position is. I think you're able to figure it out no matter what. One of those guys from the Cardinals, either one. I don't think you can go wrong there. If you get Arenado, you get Goldschmidt. I don't know if they're going to be available or not. I mean, the theory is that they are because it doesn't seem like they are going to be in contention of any sort. Would you agree? I think the Cardinals are cooked.
I think I have never been high on them.
They're 42 and 53, so I mean, I don't see.
Yeah, 10 games back. They're closer. I mean, they're probably going to be in last place soon if the Pirates. I mean, talk about a fall from grace. The Pirates are just.
Yeah, that was.
The thing with St. Louis is playing pretty well lately. They've won 4 in a row, 7 of their last 10. Maybe if they get closer to 500, they won't sell, but they probably should. I mean, Arenado and Goldie are both getting up there in age, so they have the Cardinals do have a lot of pretty good. Not a lot. They have a couple good young prospects, good young players. The problem is, like, what do the Phillies have to offer other than Andrew Painter, who's now shelved for 2 years? You're still not going to trade him, but teams are also not going to really want him.
Yeah.
Not that they wouldn't want him, but, for a guy who's just got announced that he's getting Tommy John, I just think that's a team. Nobody wants him involved in the trade. Right? He's pretty much off.
Yeah, I don't think I'd really want to trade him, and now that his value is lower, I don't really want.
Yeah,
I'm not
teams aren't going to want to trade for him for Soto, and you're not going to give him up for somebody that's not Soto. You know what I mean? So, other than him, though, I mean, they have 2 top 100 prospects: Mick Abel, Justin Crawford. They're both probably Justin Crawford's a ways from making his debut, but still, I mean, how much young pitching do you have? You have Andrew Painter, Mick Abel. I guess Griff McGarry, but he's 24, and he's in Double A still. You know what I mean? So that's a bit worrisome there. And other than that, you don't really have, you have a 22-year-old Alex McFarland in Single A. That's your 8th best prospect. Like they just don't really have prospects. Justin Crawford, again, I like him, Carl Crawford's son, but I don't think his ceiling is that crazy. I don't know if he's ever going to be that great of a hitter. Hao Yu Lee, not sure who this Asian fella is. Nice. He's their 5th prospect.
Yeah, he's nice.
Johan Rojas at 6. I think you see him with the club now.
Yeah, he's pretty. Listen, I will say about Johan Rojas, he's a guy that the Phillies have been missing for a long time. Like that sort of spark plug can cover so much ground out in center field and like hits. You know, he's got a good bat. Like I don't know if he has a spot on this team. Obviously, I feel like with lefties pitching, then you're going to see a lot of him because they've been platooning Marsh, even though they traded like one of their top prospects for Marsh, and then they don't let him play every day, which doesn't really seem to make sense to me. But if you're going to platoon, at least you have a top 10 prospect that you're throwing up there, and who was putting up good numbers in AAA. I think AA actually.
He's only 22.
Yeah, he's the fact sky's the limit.
Cracking the big league club at 22. I mean, that's pretty good. He's got like a 70 run grade and a 70 field grade. So you got something solid there, but I just don't think you have what it takes to really get an Arenado. I mean, maybe, but like you'd have to really just kind of dig deep and not empty your farm system or / MLB team, but you'd have to do a nice bit of damage. So I don't know what direction they really go in. Honestly, the NL seems to be pretty wide open outside of the Braves. Being a Dodgers fan, I do think we're the 2nd best team in the NL. But I mean, they're getting smacked around by the Orioles right now. The bullpen is a complete issue, and all their starting pitchers are hurt. So it's I don't know what's going to go on with them. The playoffs are very fickle. The best team can go out in the NLDS. The Giants and Diamondbacks being the next best teams in the National League. I guess with the Phillies, Marlins, and Brewers, it's pretty wide open. So I guess if the Phillies, if they said,
just the Braves, let's go for it. Like the Braves are like
it's
so
pretty much the
head and shoulders above.
I don't think the Phillies. I mean, look at the run differential. Phillies are plus 13. The Braves are plus 145. So I don't think the Phillies are going to compete this year. But
could have said that last year though too. I mean, that's
right. Absolutely. That's the thing about baseball though is like it's so wide open and anything can happen. So if there's a way to get like I don't know if a Randall Grichuk is the sexy name to hear or
Adam Duvall
or if the
like
if the Yankees are try to get Giancarlo Stanton.
I don't know if I want him.
Yeah. So, I mean, if there's any kind of random bat that pops up for a cheap-ish, where you have to give up Simone Muzziotti or Ethan Wilson or whoever, Jalen Ortiz, that guy was supposed to be a top prospect 30 years ago. McKinley Moore, any of these like lower prospects, if you have to give them up plus a Edmundo Sosa, why? I don't see why not. I just don't think they have much of a ceiling this year. I do like their pitching. I think their pitching has carried the team. The bullpen seems to be pretty good. I was shitting on Craig Kimbrell I kept telling my dad, like, Craig Kimbrell, wait for him to just be absolutely awful. He's been good, man. His ERA's not high. His FIP's pretty low. His strikeouts are up. His walks and home runs are down a little bit. Alvarado is solid. He's just inconsistent.
Hurt.
Seems like
him and Dominguez have been hurt.
So I was just going to say, what the fuck happened to Sir Anthony?
They've been out for Alvarado got hurt, came back, and then got hurt again. So
that's good.
Like I guess the hope would just be to get him back before the playoffs. And Dominguez has I don't know if it was an oblique or something, but he's like been out for a while. It seems like. And
ideally, on paper, like you have Wheeler, Nola, Walker, Suarez. I think Matt Strahm has been great. He's been a blessing. 12 strikeouts per 9. Didn't see that coming from him. Then you got ideally again Kimbrel, Alvarado, Soto, and Sir Anthony. That's really good, man. I mean, again, they might not all be healthy at the same time. I don't know what's going on. But at the very least, if you can have like 7, 8 solid arms that you can rely on and count on and that are talented, that's good, man. Like not every team has that. I mean, the Braves don't even have that many, So the problem is, man, they don't have many bats. If you look at their position players, there's only 3
players
just
haven't performed. That's the big thing.
No.
Like a lot of those guys just have not stepped up, and I think that like you're right. Like when you focus it down and you kind of just go through the whole team, you're like, well, they just need a bat, and it's just like it's not like I was just saying earlier. Like it's not really a position thing. It's like you got to they have to fit in. Like, you can't just get like a second baseman or shortstop and be like, well, like we'll figure it out. Like, he has to fit in somehow. But it's either a corner outfielder, one of those corner infield position sort of guys, even if it's a rental or whatnot. Like I don't know, like, is CJ Crone still a thing? Like, is he like that?
I thought he was hurt, but I don't even know.
That's what I'm saying. Like, those are the conversations that were happening early in the season. Christian Walker, but the Diamondbacks are good, so they're not going to trade him. So, like, I don't, and I heard today that Reese is trying to make it back for the playoff. Reese Hoskins is trying to make it back for the playoffs. I'm like,
jeez.
Yeah, I'm like, what? I was like, I don't know about that, but that wouldn't stop me from making a move. And I also would trade Bohm for Nolan Arenado. I saw that conversation happening a couple weeks ago, and people were like, no, I wouldn't do that. Like, I love Alec Bohm. I would never, ever trade him. Yeah, you're out of your mind. You're fucking delusional. Let me just say that. You don't miss out on an all-time great player, one of the greatest third basemen to ever play the game, for Alec Bohm. As much as I think he's a solid player, but he has not like shown those leaps that we have expected. For as big of a guy as he is, he's only got 9 home runs. He's hitting 280, which is, he's always going to do that. He's always going to hit for average, but if he played second base, it'd be different. He plays one of those power positions that we need power from, and we don't really get it. So I'd love to get like a first baseman and not have to worry about, like, you could put Bohm at third and you don't have to give too much up for him, but I don't know if that player's real. So
yeah,
that's the unfortunate thing about all this. I just don't know who they would get. I'd obviously, like all the names you say, I'd love to get Juan Soto. I'd love to have a guy like that. I don't care what the price is. I would probably trade all of those people, whoever it is. I wouldn't trade Trey Turner, though. I saw that Joe Giglio saying that he just has a field day trolling people in the afternoon. So, what we do need is just, it doesn't really. I know people say a right-handed bat. I think a right-handed power bat in the outfield, like a corner outfielder. He doesn't fit that mold, but it wouldn't stop me either way. I just think we need another solid bat to kind of. We need to be able to take Edmundo Sosa out of the lineup. We don't need to have lineups with Edmundo Sosa in there. That's my opinion. Or, you can put Bohm at third or first, but you have to have another guy in there that can produce at a high level. So you don't have to see Derek Hall in the lineup and stuff like that. That's just what I believe. But I don't know who's going to be available. Like, what are the big names that are going to be available? Like, are the Guardians? Like, I know Shane Bieber was the conversation.
I don't think so. Shane Bieber's about to come back. Guardians are playing well. That division's a complete joke. So I think they're going to probably be buyers. I really don't know who's going to be available. I mean, it's the trade deadline. What, end of July, or is it August 1st?
I don't know. I thought it always was, but then they moved it up. Like, I really don't know. I assume it's the end of July, early August. I don't know what the exact date is for the trade deadline, but
maybe Blake Snell. If the Padres want to move anybody, I really don't think Juan Soto is going to go anywhere. But you never know. Otani, we'll see. Art Moreno, the Angels owner, is a complete just idiot. Doesn't know what he's doing. Marcus Stroman, Cody Bellinger.
August 1st, by the way.
Josh Hader. Anybody on the White Sox? I don't know. Not anybody on the White Sox. Luis Robert isn't going anywhere, but Tim Anderson might. Tim Anderson, 0 home runs this year. So
yeah, he's been really bad.
It seems like there's more pitchers than anything. I mean, if the Phillies were to do anything, I think Cody Bellinger would be the guy to go after. He's playing pretty well. I think he's going to fall off. He's already had a couple of rough stretches, but I mean, lefty bat. Obviously, I don't know if that's what they want, but he's probably their best fielder by far, and maybe one of their best power hitters after Schwarber. So I'm not sure. I mean, I think the Phillies should add a piece or two without giving much up. Maybe a low risk, high reward move, but. Jordan Hicks, if you want another reliever, ask the Cardinals for Jordan Hicks. If you want to do a package, Jack Flaherty, Jordan Hicks, Nolan Arenado, I don't know. It just doesn't seem like there's that many. It seems like the trade deadline market is very, very inactive. That's what a lot of experts and executives are saying. And with the deadline so close, we haven't heard or seen any movement at all. I mean, the Yankees are talking about trading for Randall Grichuk. Like, that's how down bad they are. So. There might not be that many moves. There might not be that many players getting, thrown out there for bait. So we'll see. I mean, the Phillies are in second, right? Second place, right ahead of the Marlins. Marlins have a pretty good young team, but I don't think they scare anybody necessarily. So
I'd love to get Cody Bellinger though. I am with you on that because he fits the mold. Like he probably wouldn't be that expensive. He's a 1-year rental, sort of, right? Like he only signed a 1-year deal, so yeah, like that would fit in perfect. Whether he's left-handed or right-handed, I just think that's the kind of guy we should look for. But I don't know whether he's going to be like that great. Like you said, like who knows if he really like pans out like that. But it's crazy to see David Robertson. Like I'm reading a list of like players who might be available, like Josh Hader, David Robertson. Max Scherzer is going to be available. They're saying like it's a possibility. The Mets are going to sell off everyone, which I don't blame them. You probably should. Lucas Giolito, like maybe the Phillies do go out and get a starter. That just kind of
why not? You
like,
never have too many, right?
Yeah, like as long as the price is right, I feel like he's going to be aggressive. So it just depends on what he does. Like what he actually the focus is, or what becomes available, or what we could get. So. I guess that's it for baseball. I did want to talk about Flyers just getting, doing very well in the draft, drafting the Russian savage, the sniper, the gentleman, Michkov. What is his first name? Mikhail Michkov? Matvey. Yeah, that's going to take a lot to remember. But
I mean, he's got some time. He's not going to come over for 3 years, possibly 2. You never know. Honestly, with Russian players.
By that time, they should be good. Or, not should be good, but at least respectable.
Enticing for him to come over.
Yeah.
I think so. So we shall see. We shall see. They got him at 7th, which is just an absolute steal. And he might be the best player other than Bedard. So
yeah, you have to pick that guy there. I don't know why these other teams didn't. I guess we're going to be bad, so it's like there's no incentive, or there's no reason you wouldn't pick a guy there like that, but...
So I guess I didn't even realize what happened with D'Angelo got waived.
Yeah.
After he got bought out. Okay, so he got bought out. There that is. They re-signed Cam York. They signed that goalie. I don't know if he's Belarusian or Russian. If he's Russian or Belarusian. Also, don't know if I'm saying that right. Alexei Kolosov. It looks like they know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. They're getting rid of some of these guys, and they're trying to just be young, right? Build young. Get some other guys to fill out the roster, like Victor Mete, and don't give out bad contracts. That's pretty much what they've done for so long. They've given out bad contracts a lot. They just haven't had a nice blend of young talent with vets. Like remember Claude Giroux and Jeff Richards and Jeff Carter, Mike Richards,
nice.
Danny Briere. Like back in 2010 when they had a pretty good team, they were pretty much they were very veteran heavy. Claude was young. But they didn't have a goalie. Michael Layton, who then played for the Blackhawks AHL team. Like they've always been missing something.
Yeah,
they've never really had a well-rounded team in recent memory, anyway. So they're doing something good. I like what they're doing with their young players. They have a lot of good young prospects. I don't know whatever. Is Sean Couturier still alive? I don't know what happened.
He's on the team still. He, I guess it was a hip or something.
That's brutal.
To, Ryan Ellis is probably never going to play hockey again, so they have to continue. Like that's fucking insane. They trade for a guy who plays 4 games and he never plays again, which,
brutal.
Only the Flyers. But Cam Atkinson will be back this year. I think like some of those guys they'll still get moved. But at least
I forgot about him. He died. Everybody's just dying. Believe it. Travis Konechny. I don't know what's up with him.
He's still there. Like, he's still just doing his thing. They get rid of Provorov, and they get pretty good return for him, which that's a positive. At least they have to deal with him on Pride Night. They just probably could sit him out of the lineup on Pride Night. But, the Carter Hart stuff, that could be the conversation around him could be changing in the relatively near future with a
listen, man,
investigation coming out. Pretty soon about Team Canada
yeah. So I forgot about that. I think he might be. I don't know. Actually, I don't know.
Like that's I think I've heard he might be okay, but then I've also heard that he might be going down with this thing. So,
jeez, man, that's brutal.
It's it's something to look out for. But at the very least, I think the Flyers have a vision, a focus, a goal. And they have people that we trust at the helm, as opposed to a guy like Chuck Fletcher who just was operating like a fucking moron and an idiot, and
pretty much,
we tried to act like we weren't, like we're stupid hockey fans here, and that he's signing these people to these contracts, and we're like, dude, what are you doing? Like, Whether Tortorella works or not, who cares? But it's just like the players that he would sign, these just bruising morons. So it's like, oh yeah, remember the Broad Street Bullies? We're like, yeah, dude, but we suck, man. Like those teams were good. Nobody really cared whether they beat people up or not. It was the fact that they were good and they were beating people up. We just wanted to see good hockey. We want to see a team that we respect and that's not horrific and a joke. That's what we've been, the last 3 years, I'd say, since the pandemic, basically, after they went to the second round in that bubble playoffs. But yeah, that's my Flyers talk. That's more than you've probably gotten in the last year from me. Well, I did a whole episode the one day about how Chuck Fletcher should be fired, and that's been a while. But I don't really have anything Eagles wise. I'm going to save that for later on in the summer once training camp starts.
Once camp gets started, I think that's soon, right?
It's in the next couple weeks, I believe.
Let's go.
So that's something to look forward to, baby. But this has been the Hot Take Hot Box. It is good to be back, man. We did a lot of Sixers, a little bit of Phillies, and a sprinkling of some Flyers. But I want to do this. I really do want to do these more often. I love.
It's tough to do at this time of the year.
It really is. That's the thing. I just I don't want to sit here and waste your time. But maybe next week I might. I haven't updated my top 10 power rankings of Philadelphia athletes in a while. Which that was always a list I like doing.
Pound.
We do have to do the UFC pound for pound list. So if you guys are still listening, enjoy.
We're gonna do all the lists.
Enjoy all these shows. We love doing them. There's another one coming out on Friday, a UFC full breakdown of UFC London, which we're doing it again. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. This has been the Hot Take Hot Box. My name is Matt McSweeney.
I'm Ty Capone, as always.
And as always, listen, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you flush twice.
You are now listening to the Hot Take Hot Box.